Hey everybody, welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, we're modern guys, right?
I like to think of myself as a modern guy, yes.
You like to keep up with the times. And
Why do I have a British accent when I say that? I don't know. I like to think
I'm not sure.
the British are ultra modern. Anyway.
Are they though?
No, I mean, they're not. They're not.
Maybe in some ways. But so modernization's important.
Yes.
Keeping up with the times.
Yes.
Everybody wants to do that.
Dude, I got to keep up with my kids. I better be modern or else I'm just like gone.
Well, businesses, they typically like to keep up with the times.
For sure. For sure.
Modern. It's probably not a great idea to operate a business that still thinks like it's 20 or 30 years ago, right? Not even 5 years ago at this point. You're probably out of the loop for even 5 years back in your thinking, your strategy, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's especially important in retail because, if you notice, a few things have changed
a little bit
over the years, especially in recent years when it comes to retail. And there's a lot of discussion about modernization. So that's our topic today. We're going to get into retail modernization, talk about opportunities in the channel. We've got Kristen Call on with us from Intel.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get into stuff about, just what's changed and, what's going on with global chains all the way down to SMB, what's happening to them. Why are they making digital transformation? What's the impetus behind
transformation?
it?
Yes,
Yeah, one of those nice little buzzwords that we're gonna make. We're gonna make Kristen explain what that actually means. So.
Because my definition might be a little off the book.
There you go. Yeah. We're going to talk about what retailers do wrong when they try to go digital and try to modernize. We're going to talk about what's called a blended approach to retail, which is something Intel is exceeding at and excelling at.
Yes.
And we'll get into Intel themselves and find a little bit about how they're helping transform the retail experience.
Got it. Thought leadership there, huh?
That's right. We got some good stuff today. So
I love it. Yep.
All that plus our usual value to the VAR. What's TEConnecting with us? It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, as I mentioned, our guest today is the Senior Industry Advisor for Retail, Banking, and Hospitality with Intel. Kristen Call, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate having you on the pod. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in this role at Intel.
Thanks, guys. It's great to be here. I think we're going to have a fun session, it sounded like.
Yes.
Just on the introduction. You guys are great. I joined Intel, it's just been a little bit, about 4 years. I come from industry, spent 25 years, started in the business side, moved over to the tech side, and I kind of never left the tech side. I fell in love with technology and how it really impacts the business. How I got into Intel, a lot of people are like, Kristen, you don't know anything about chips. I'm like, you're right. I have no idea, other than I know they go into my computer.
Right.
But I spent a lot of time on this in software, right? So I came on board to be a product manager, and I got to develop some really cool, what we call reference designs. And what those do is to help assist the industry to accelerate their go-to-market. So was able to do some really cool stuff with point of sale and some data fusion to develop a loss prevention way to be able to do different kinds of use cases. We picked loss prevention to do that data fusion. So it was pretty cool. And it's still out there on the web. I actually did a ChatGPT search. I said, what's the top loss prevention solutions? And Intel came up at number 3. I'm like, what? It's not even, you can't even buy this thing.
See, you
really
fooled ChatGPT. There you go.
Yep.
Yes, we've all learned you got to verify that information
the
on
proof
ChatGPT.
that we can't be replaced just yet.
That's it. Yeah,
we love talking to people that love technology, and it's okay if you don't know what chip the chips do or whatever. I mean, I don't pretend I understand that stuff either. You can like technology and be immersed in some parts of technology, but not have to know every bit of it.
No, absolutely. And if I could comment here real quick, because a lot of people get confused with Intel walks in the room, they're like, hey, we're not talking chips.
Right.
No, Intel, yes, of course they talk. Right. They can talk press and all you want, but it's not that. They're very much interested in the ecosystem and, as Kristen said, accelerating digital transformation. We'll do a deep dive here, but it's really critical, the role that Intel plays in the ecosystem and stuff like that. It's cool stuff that they're doing. Yeah,
hard agree. All right, well, let's get into this topic about retail modernization. And again, as I mentioned up front, you got all these retailers from the big global brands to all the way down just to your mom and pop stores that are down the street. They're all looking to do something in the digital realm. They all kind of get it and know like, hey, there's things happening. I know I need to be more digitally focused. I know I need to, do stuff like omni-channel or have opportunities for, loyalty programs, whatever it might be. I know I got to do more than just have my basic storefront and a cash wrap, and that's it.
More than brick and mortar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a little bit more than that these days. So, where are you seeing opportunities for VARs and all this? Is all of these various types of retailers, from the big dogs all the way down to the small chains that they might be working there, or even single stores? Where do opportunities lie right now to help them out with the modernization aspect?
Well, I think the VARs have really taken on a whole new role with this digital transformation, in my perspective, because it's so broad. There's so many different use cases and so many ways to be able to help that digital transformation. And maybe take a step back. What does digital transformation mean, right? What does organization look like when they do a digital transformation? So if you think of I go to the web and I'm going to go and buy something on the web, I can do all kinds of analytics when I'm in a storefront on the web, right? I can see who's coming there. I can see their IP address. I can see what products they looked at. I can see how long they looked at that product. I can then see if they went to another page and maybe they just left my website, or maybe they actually went all the way through and did and actually bought something. There's so much more I can see when I'm on a web page than when somebody walks into their store. So I don't know why they came in. When they come into the store, I have no idea. I don't even know what aisle they went to. I don't know what product they picked up. I don't know if they put that product back down and just walked out the store necessarily. There are so one of the ways that retailers are trying to track that is through conversion. So that's kind of become the table stakes and understanding what that conversion looks like. So how VARs can really understand is, what are these use cases and what does it take to actually put them in a store? And that's really engaging with not just the retailer, but the ISVs and the whole chain of what it takes to make these types of technologies a reality. Conversion, I think, was the very first step of that digital transformation. And that's like I said, table stakes. If you don't have conversion in your store today, you're way behind the curve, right? You want to be able to know who's walking into your store, who's buying something, and who's walking out. And then that next level is adding that computer vision and AI component on top of it. And understanding, did they actually go to an aisle? Did they linger? Did they look at a product? Did they pick it up? And then did they walk out? All those technologies sound super simple with my words, but when you actually try to implement, not so super simple, right? And I think that engagement with VARs and the whole ecosystem to make that technology happen and make it simple for the retailer, because these are very complex, orchestrated solutions, right? It takes an ISV, it takes an OEM, it takes middleware, it takes all these different things to kind of make it happen.
Yeah, I think, obviously we touched on quite a few things there that maybe we need to unravel a little bit, unpack some of the things. But when you think about the digital transformation, it is true. And I love your approach there, Kristen, talking about the online experience. There's so much that we know now about e-commerce and online experience. But to me, the digital transformation that's happening is now converting a lot of that to the in-store experience. As Kristen said, it's the in-store analytics. And so when you start thinking about that, and we preach about it, from a reseller standpoint, if you're just the traditional POS or even back of house ADC, it's really getting a better understanding of what the product and solution offerings are that are out there today that can help you accelerate your customers into this digital transformation around in-store analytics. I think that's a really, really good one. Let's just, linger on that for a second. That, the power that you can do through computer vision, laced in with AI through a company like a Pathr, AI, one of the Intel partners that we're working with, or a MELD-CX, who's really kind of getting into the overall user or experience of the retail experience. It's important to be able to analyze what is going on in the store because, to Kristen's point, it's table stakes, right? If you're an advertiser looking to get on a retail media network, you got to have the analytics behind that to get the advertising. If you want to, again, measure the metrics to the brands about who's going to what aisle or what their linger time is and things of that nature, you have to have these analytics that you can feed back to your vendors to have that conversation. So the digital transformation is critical in order for these entities. Yeah, we see it at the tier one, but I'm telling you, all the way down into the mid-size SMB markets, retailers, they're going to be necessary to have this modernization too. And it's incumbent upon us to develop the ecosystem with the vetted solutions that are going to be the answers there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the idea of customer insight is the part that really stands out to me.
Right.
Because I think there's a lot of retailers and a lot of folks in any kind of business. You might think, hey, I need to digitize my business in some way. I need to add technology somehow. Maybe in retail, it's like, I need self-service. I need kiosks. Maybe I need to build some kind of a website or have some sort of a web presence or something. That stuff is kind of table stakes at this point. I mean, you should be thinking about that stuff for sure. But I think the idea of what Kristen's mentioning here of what you can get out of it, what you can learn when you add technology, the ability to pull insights, the ability to understand more about your customers and what they're doing. Again, I love the idea of just even understanding what people do when they walk in your store.
That's right.
I worked retail in the past, and you might think you know what people are doing. You might have an idea of what's happening, of like the flow of traffic or what people do in certain sections or why they go certain directions. But when you can back that up with technology, and if you as a VAR can work with retailers and show them like, hey, let's implement this, and it will show you exactly what's happening in your store at all times to help you understand the best places to place products, the best places to intervene with customers, the best places to offer self-service, the best reasons to have some kind of an online presence, what's happening when your customers are going there. That insight piece to me, I think that's the part that is the extra step that I think a lot of these folks in SMB especially may not really be thinking about. They may know that they need to do something. They're like, I know I need technology. I know people are telling me I
got this spidey sense that I need to have some kind of analytics.
I hear about it all the time. People are knocking on my door and trying to sell me stuff. But maybe they're not thinking about it from that point of view. They're thinking about it from just day-to-day operations and not realizing like, hey, there's a lot you can glean and gain from this that can help just take your business to the next level.
Well, not only that, but there's things like, again, I'll go back to Pathr, even like suspicious behavior, being able to determine that through AI and things of that nature. So, Kristen, let's walk a little bit farther around like the edge compute and some of the things that's happening as a part of this modernization in retail, right? Yes, it's software, but it's hardware too with edge compute, correct? To kind of run some of these things, or as John mentioned, even kiosks in just making this frictionless experience. So we're starting to see some modernization of the gear that's being used in retail, right?
Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship between hardware and software, right? The hardware is, this really pretty box that can have these capabilities, but it's the software that really pulls it out and says, I'm going to challenge this hardware and see what it can actually do, right? And it's also, working with ISVs, making sure that software is optimized, working on, its best performance on the right platform, and at the lowest cost, right? So you don't want to buy the beefiest machine if you don't need that, unless you're trying to grow into it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity with ISVs to be able to tune their software to the right platform and the right compute. So there's that challenge. And then also operationally, right? That hardware, I work for a hardware company, but hardware is hard. And when you have to roll a truck and you have to do something to that hardware, it really does interfere with business. So having something that's reliable and you can able to troubleshoot that remotely is going to really get that business back up if there's any problems at all. So I think you got to think of two folds, right? How do I make the software the best it can be on that hardware, and then how can I manage it operationally to if it does go down? Hopefully it doesn't, but when it does, it's always a disaster. I always owned in-store sales, and POS was my application, and you can't have point of sale go down.
No.
Right. And if it does, you better have a really good backup plan or a plan in place so that you can get it back up and running. So
absolutely. Because
that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, how are you going to do that conversion, which is critical, right? You've got people coming in, but you can't convert because you don't have the right gear to do it.
I've got this product in my hand. I'd like to buy it, please. Well, sorry, you can't right now. Please wait 5 to 10 minutes.
An excellent point, because that's part of that transformation as well. You guys hit on that. Retailers welcome us into the store. We look around, we found the perfect product, and then we go, and there's 20 people deep to check out. So that whole experience is now being challenged by the expectation of the customer. So many different ways to purchase, BOPUS, I can get it or delivered or whatever. There's so many opportunities now for retailers to deliver that product, but still people want to go to the store. That's not changed at all.
No. I can tell you it hasn't changed because I refer to this all the time. The women in my life, and I'm not being, because I go shopping too, but I'm telling you, my daughters are like all into shopping, and they are young. They're 11 years old. Shopping is not dead. There's a love, there's a desire to go out and shop, and so retail is healthy. There's no doubt about it. But as we've talked about here, the experience now is different, right? I mean, there's just a desire to have a more of an experiential happening when you go into a retail establishment. So you want that to be frictionless. You want the technology to be there to make sure that the overall experience is enjoyable, right? And that's what I think it's all driving to.
Yeah, definitely.
To a certain degree.
Well, then let's talk a little bit about where stuff goes wrong here. Because again, I think, a lot of these retailers, they get it. They understand, hey, I need to do this stuff. I know I need something in the digital realm. I know I need to implement technology. I know I need to do more to shorten up my lines and improve my labor issues or whatever it might be.
Right.
So they know they need to do it. They're on board with that. But what do they get wrong when they start implementing these kind of solutions? What's happening there? What hurdles are out there that we, in this entire channel and our VARs in particular, can really help them overcome?
Well, I'm not going to criticize retailers because I think they do an amazing job, but I think there's everyone has some lessons to learn. If you back up a little, well, let's just start with this way. If you pick the cheapest product, you're going to get what you buy, right? I mean, if you go buy a cheap dress, it's going to last for 3 weeks versus if you buy something expensive, it's going to last for years and years to come. So I think it's the same with hardware, and then picking the right hardware. I think if you're going to go try something and you want to just see if it works, go try it on a Raspberry Pi. Go do it because you want to be able to see if it works. But once you put in something that wants to be long lasting, robust, and be able to, overcome these challenging environments. Yeah. I worked in a convenience store. I've seen the back rooms. They're not that clean all the time, and dust gets in the back rooms and underneath counters and things like that. So I think looking at that hardware, what kind of environment does it need to endure, and not necessarily picking the cheapest product. And that goes from an ISV perspective as well. So I think that retailers still, brick and mortar specifically, kind of still see their IT as a cost center and not really as a partner. But the software they're delivering, you cannot separate these two. Your technology is part of your business. It's part of the business plan, right? So bringing in that technology partner when you're looking at a technology to make sure it fits into what can be sustainable in that environment, I think is also very critical. So that kind of bleeds into, I talk to a lot of retailers, and the one thing that I always catch on is it's not just about the technology, it's about the environment. You cannot say, I can't say it more than I already do, and that is having an innovative environment. It takes the whole village to do that. So how do you encourage innovation? How do you encourage failure? How do you encourage to be able to be innovative as a whole corporate culture? It's not just one team. It's got to come from a whole corporate culture.
I agree.
There's a lot to unpack there. Unpack that for me.
No, absolutely. No, that's really good stuff. And I'll add on to it the free flow of information. I think that, what I hear in the marketplace is a lot of times retailers get it wrong, if you will, in that they don't see the opportunities in having a free flow of information, especially in the supply chain world that we live in today.
Right.
When you think about the linearity of supply chain of the past, it was just very linear, not a lot of communication happening, stuff showed up. But in today's world, there's just this need for a free flow of information, and when you see the retailer as being kind of the epicenter of the data, and where all the information's coming in and out of, and all these entities that need to tap into that, it kind of opens up your mind into that. And maybe IT departments are a little bit hesitant to do that, right? Oh, no, this is our information. We're not going to share that with other entities or things of that nature. But in order for retail modernization to occur, it's going to be through an ecosystem of partners, and those ecosystem of partners need to tap into the information so that they can have a clear picture. But it's a clear picture for everybody to make better decisions along the way, like the hardware, like what third-party software we should be incorporated and stuff like that. So that's one of those hurdles I still feel like we're trying to overcome. It's that information flow that's going to lead to a lot of this retail modernization.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'll go back to something Kristen said earlier when she mentioned, the idea of cheap, just starting to look for cheap, fast, simple, whatever's quickest and easiest to implement. And honestly, I don't necessarily even think that's the retailers themselves that are always thinking that way. Sometimes I think it's on us, and it could be on the VARs to be careful about, or whoever they're working with, to be careful about trying to just shove in whatever's quickest and easiest.
I see what
someone comes to you and says, hey, I've got an opportunity. I've got 6 stores and I'd really like to implement a new point of sale system. Like, it might be easy to think, oh man, this is a golden opportunity. This is some good money I can make right now, and we can make our budget for the month. I've got these on hand, and this software company I can do quick enough here. Let's just get this up and running, without doing the diligence to figure out what actually needs to be done and what makes the most sense for that particular retailer in their environment. So I think it's incumbent on not just them, but also on us to be able to slow things down a little bit and understand what's actually happening in their particular world. What we always talk about on the sales side of things is being consultative and recognizing what's going on in their business, finding out what their actual needs are, not just, you need this, I've got X. I don't know if X is what you need, but it'll do for now, and throwing it in there. Because I think, on their end, if they're going to make this kind of upgrade, if they're opening up their business to, let's say they're adding a self-service component, or they're adding an online component where there's an omni-channel aspect potentially to their business now, they want to get that right out of the box. Because if you mess that up out of the box, not only are you having a bad experience from the retail side, and that can hurt you as a VAR with your future business with them, but they're also getting a bad experience from their customers then.
Oh, nightmare.
If you roll this out and their customer comes in and is like, yeah, I'm excited that I've now got an app and a kiosk and stuff, and all of it's breaking down on the first week or so, and they're all just standing in line again like they always were, that's a bad experience. That hurts everyone all the way around, and no one wants to get into that point.
With a piece of paper taped up on the kiosk does not work. What a nightmare. Yeah.
That is
no, thanks.
But that's how many people have gone to a fast food place where they did have a kiosk and it's not working, right? There are, and that should never happen. With the technology that we have today, with the ecosystems that we have today, that should never happen. That, so it makes me sad when I walk in there to see that happen.
Retail modernization gone wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. No.
Exactly. All right. Well, then let's talk about this blended approach idea here, because, I think a lot we're talking about here is talking about implementing technology that gets you to a big picture level. And you hinted at it earlier when you were talking about the supply chain, that the big picture in retail these days, it's not just about what's happening at the store level. It's not about just what's happening in the brick and mortar.
Right.
It's not even about, if you have an online shop or not. It's not all those little separate components. It's all the things together. And that includes what's happening at the back of the store. To your point, it includes figuring out what's coming in and what's going out, where stuff is, what you can tap into to get into your store at the right time. So let's get into that in this whole blended approach. So, where are we looking at, or what are we trying to do right now to help simultaneously address needs for front and back of store all in one solution, rather than try to piecemeal a bunch of stuff together?
Well, you hit on it, right? I mean, the front of the store is the impact of what happened in the back, right? So if it all went wrong in the back, it's all going to go wrong in the front, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly, right? So if I didn't order the right stuff, or it didn't come in, or whatever that might be, it's just really going to impact sales. So understanding your supply chain, what does it happen? That's a complex problem. But I think that technology is coming in to really help support these. What's on my shelf? How can I help my retailers understand quicker, faster, what kinds of products do they have? Maybe even adding a quality control on it, right? So if I pulled something out of the freezer, how long did that was that out of the freezer? Should I put it back? Should I alert somebody because it's getting into the higher temperature range? There's all these different kinds of technologies that are helping retailers depending on what space they're in. But I think that it's not a simple problem as in my experience of just putting a camera in. It has to be multi-sensors, maybe RFID, a Bluetooth sensor, something that has to be, that can be, 10 deep on that product, because a camera can't see it. So there's a lot of different technologies, and that's where the VARs and that ecosystem comes in. Again, I think that because this orchestration layer has to happen, if we can make it simpler, help the retailer not get their minds blown by the time you talk about all the different partners that have to come in to make this technology happen, all they see is this end solution, right? They don't need to know that there's 5 partners behind the scenes to make this product a reality. I think that's a real opportunity for the VARs to come in and help to support that.
I agree. Intel's got a
it.
fantastic use case. It's called Nourish and Bloom. And Kristen, I don't know if you remember if you saw it during Vision. I mean, I know you're aware of this one completely, but this is the whole automated store kind of experience. And it's where you walk in, you launch an app, you can do your shopping. There's no cashiers. There's no waiting. Everything's, it's about as high tech as you can get, right? Where it's using machine vision and sensors and things of that nature. And then the shopper just simply walks out and everything's charged and it's just this frictionless, wonderful utopia of retail, right? But in order to get
Sounds
there,
like my dream,
yeah, you're not touching anything.
I'm not touching anything. I'm not talking to anybody. Yes.
I'm in,
Perfect.
I'm out,
Yeah.
I got it all done right. Well, besides that, so this is your utopia. But anyway, to Kristen's point, it takes a lot of people behind the scenes, a lot of companies, whatever, to make that happen. Well, as a solution integrator, as a reseller, we can crawl, walk, run to get to there, right? There's still applications, pieces of that puzzle that can be implemented, a little bit at a time as you build up to something like that.
Yeah, we're not asking you to get to the automated store yet.
No.
But there's a lot you can do along the way.
Right, because I think, Chris and I can just imagine walking into a retailer and say, okay, here's the story, right? All this stuff's going to go away. We're throwing in compute. Yeah, we're just starting.
Yeah.
That's it. We're
Be like, get out,
We're
get
gonna
out.
We're gonna just throw up some cameras, run it on an app, and it's all good. Believe you me, they'll just kick you out. Really, like, what are you talking about? But if we're gonna crawl, walk, run to there, right? We can do that, and it's through an ecosystem of partners that really we've been advocating for a long time. Retail's not dead. It just needs to be modernized, and there's certain players within the ecosystem that we can use to enable that. And really, another key phrase here is a vetted solution, and that's what I really like about the Intel and BlueStar partnership here is developing these vetted solutions so that solutions integrators and VARs can feel confident walking in with the types of solutions, whether it's machine vision analytics, whether it's WaitTime, whether it's back of house analytics. We are developing those solutions around this retail modernization for that express reason. So yeah, good stuff.
I like what you said earlier about the idea of it's not necessarily about trying to reinvent the wheel here, and it's not necessarily about front to back just trying to make everything happen all at once. That you can do it piecemeal, little by little, and and I think there's a lot to be said about understanding what's happening front versus back of the house, and recognizing that there's all these components and all these pieces. But to your point there earlier is that it's about the solution at the end of the day. End users. And we're the same way. Like when we go out to buy a car, I don't care where all the parts of my car came from. Right. I don't care who made the catalytic converter versus who made the tires. I don't need all the details about that. I don't need you to bring in 80 people that are showing me all the different pieces and parts and how they're going to put them all together. Just show me what the end product looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that's what most retailers and any customer that is dealing with technology, like they want to think of it as like, hey, I got an IT person, I got an IT team that I'm working with. What they're doing on the back end and all the things they're bringing in to make it happen, that's fine. As long as at the end of the day, I'm getting the solution.
But your car buying is a pretty good analogy, right? Because you want that kind of level of experience. I'm not saying that car buying is a great experience. I'm not, because we've all had that hideous salesperson that comes up, hey, what you looking for, buddy?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not, don't want that.
That part's the bad analogy.
But you do want the experience. And again, I'll just refer to, you're going to want to walk in, okay, I like the shirt, but they don't have my size. is there an associate around that, he or she's got a mobile computer and can, this is the enablement that we want to be able to do to make that experience great. So I like this car. It's not the color I want. Is there something? Well, yeah, you can get that at a dealership, but this is the level of experience that you're going to want, right? Exactly, at a retail establishment, and technology enables that. Yeah.
And I'll add on, when it comes to the back of the house stuff, I think back to my retail days. And granted, we're going back 20 years now. Things were obviously very different then. But I remember, the weekly shipment, so we'd get little stuff.
By the way,
throughout
Kristen,
the week.
did you say you worked in retail too? Are you having retail flashbacks? Like, okay, go ahead, John.
Exactly.
Yes,
Every time we talk about retail, I start thinking back to my days and Well, I was always the DC guy. I was the guy that whenever the big DC shipment came in every Friday.
Yes.
Now, granted, I loved it because I got to hole up in the back of the store, crank up some music.
Oh, I see.
And just open boxes for like hours on end, because we would get anywhere from like 40 to 100 boxes, depending on what time of year it was. Filled up. It was a bookstore organizer, filled up with books. But here's the thing, though. I would get those boxes, and I had no idea what was in them.
No,
I never knew what was coming.
No clue.
I never knew what our corporate office was deciding to send. You could order stuff. You could make requests if you knew what you needed. But otherwise, you were just getting stuff. So every Friday,
it's like Christmas every Friday.
It's true.
What's in this box?
But there's also a nightmare aspect to it, because basically all I was doing is I was pulling out my handy old scanner, and symbol scanner, I think, and just scanning every single box. It just had one label on every box. I'm scanning every box. Again, no idea what's really in them.
Yeah.
I go to the front of the store, I plug it in, download that info. Now my inventory is updated with all the stuff I have, but guess where that stuff all is?
It's still in the back.
It's still in boxes in the back. And I've got, I'm working usually over most of that day to get it all unboxed, and then I'm sticking it on carts. I'm giving it to the associates to go put it out and to put it out on the shelves. And meanwhile, if anyone comes and asks for this stuff, it's telling them it's in inventory. It's probably not where it's supposed to be yet.
That's right.
It's potentially on a cart or a box still in the back.
Yeah.
There was such a disconnect there. And then it's all happening on a Friday leading into a weekend, which is always your busiest days of the week. And you probably don't even get half that stuff up onto the shelves. You've got people even looking through this stuff while it's on the carts. And it just was an experience.
Nightmare.
It was the best we could do at the time. And we operated as quickly and efficiently as we could. But that's the kind of stuff where I'm hoping no one's still doing that.
Oh, I think they are.
But they probably are.
They definitely are.
That's the sad thing. And if
you
can...
You just said that process perfectly. That was like every process that every retailer is still doing. What would have been like if you could at least eliminated just that check-in process to 5 minutes versus 2 or 3 hours, as it probably took you, right? To unpack that, because you got to unpack it anyway. But if you could count that inventory as you unpacked it in the shelf, that
just that visibility. It's the visibility. That's right.
Or if at least, at the very least, if when somebody asked for something and it said, "Oh, I've got 6 in stock, they're in box number 42," and I knew exactly how to find that box and pop that one right open and get what they needed out of there. Because again, we're talking, 20 years ago where I didn't have a lot of online competition. Amazon was just, maybe it was a thing, but still wasn't the powerhouse it is today.
Right.
Books were its primary goal at that point.
Oh yeah.
And then you had some of the big box stores that would sell books for maybe a little bit cheaper. So you had that competition but it was more of a thing where if someone was in your store and looking for something, if you could put it in their hand, they were probably going to buy it.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if you can't put it in their hand within moments of them entering and asking for something, they're going to just get on their phone and buy it. They're going to walk out and go right to the next store that can do it for them. Yeah. The competition is higher than ever.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you don't have that kind of insight and that kind of connectivity between what's happening out front, what's happening in the back, and to be able to connect those dots as quickly as possible, you're missing out on so much of a game. And it saddens me to think that there are still so many retailers that are dealing with that right now.
Ellie, my middle daughter, works at a retail. Again, she loves to shop, but now she has a completely different, appreciation for the retail experience. Because she's the one in the back unboxing, and it's until we have this blended technology of like RFID back of house that can do the RFID tag,
the item level stuff,
the item level, so that you already know when you just a quick wand of the box. Oh yes, there are actually 100 of these shirts in that box or whatnot. But it's definitely that approach that's going to get us to retail modernization.
There you go. Well, sorry about the flashbacks there, Kristen. If I have to suffer through this, so do you. Well, then let's talk about Intel then. And we've kind of hit it and batted around a little bit of this and talk about what Intel's doing, your ecosystem, your desire to kind of help transform these retail experiences and make this all a better shopping experience for the people that are buying from the stores, the people that work in the stores, the back of the house, everything.
Yep.
So talk to us a little bit more about what Intel's doing there and explain your piece in it. Because again, as we established, you're not just chips. You guys are doing lots of great stuff that really is impacting businesses all around the world. But let's focus on what's happening in retail.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening between just the whole ecosystem, enablement, and also those reference designs that I mentioned. We have a whole team of engineers that have a lab that are doing some really cool stuff to try to figure out how can they make retailers' lives easier. They promised that to me. That's why I decided to join Intel. I was like, really? I'm totally
we got a lab
board.
for you, Kristen. Yeah, there's a lab.
I'm on board, but there is a lot of smart engineers doing some really cool stuff like workload consolidation. And this is kind of an interesting topic. So point of sale, we all know that's kind of a sacred cow, right? The only thing that lands on point of sale is point of sale software. And we've got folks in the lab that are taking multiple different workloads, containerizing them, and then putting them on a point of sale so that you can run different types of solutions on top of that that hardware. And the reason is you think about how retailers usually buy their point of sale. They have, let's say, 6 lanes, and they only use 2 or 3 through the whole year. And then the rest of the time, the other 3 are just sitting there idle, doing nothing. Well, that's compute they could be using to do something with, right? They could be running algorithms. They could be doing these product tracking. They could do so many different things. And then, when they do need that compute for point of sale, that container, dials down, and they allow that point of sale to always be the number one. And those are the kind of the really cool things you can do with orchestration and modernization of the architecture. Whether a retailer wants to go do that, test it, put it in your lab, try it out, see what's possible. And I think where VARs can come in is I don't know if retailers know to ask, right? Do they know what's even possible? So Intel working with our partners to showcase what is happening, I think is really important. The other thing is building labs internally to help our ISVs to do these really complex use cases with cameras. What's their compute look like when they need to tie in 50 cameras or 100 cameras, right? What does that compute look like? 1 or 2 is probably fairly easy, but when you're really getting into these autonomous stores or very sophisticated loss prevention solutions, that means something completely different. And you mentioned the autonomous store, right? That autonomous store isn't just checking people out. It's those cameras are now that you're scanning. It's the new scanner, right? You're picking it up. The camera is now the scanning. You put it in your basket. It's gone into your transaction. But it's also said, oh, I just sold one. I'm going to take that out of my inventory, right? So there's multiple things that are happening inside of that autonomous store that you can't do in a traditional store. And that those kind of workloads really take, that's what Intel's really trying to do with our ISVs.
Yeah, I think they've got a great program, which is why BlueStar is really excited about this. It's all around the acceleration of digital transformation. They do a great job. Intel's doing a fantastic job of enabling our resellers, understanding what is happening on the edge, the types of software that is going into that play, whether it's machine vision, AI, things of that nature. That's only going to happen by enabling people with vetted solutions. And again, I think that's a really critical piece. Us in our TEConnect program, we've been trying to vet ISVs for our ecosystem for years now. Right. Now we have another partner in Intel that's helping us. Didn't even know we had the lab opportunity. We're coming out to the lab. We're gonna start testing some stuff out there, Chris. Yeah, we're gonna try to break some stuff. I love trying to break
special episode of the pod in the lab.
Yeah. But not just that, also engagement. They're great on the marketing side. We've got marketing powers to do that, to not only develop the solutions, but then do the end user demand generation, help people with that. Ultimately, all this happens through an ecosystem. So we're thrilled to death to have Intel be a part of this because, again, I'll just restate it, partner-assisted ecosystems, that's how we all win in retail modernization. Yeah. So
I love what you said about, the idea of like compute power, for instance, from, stations and POS systems that are in use. It's stuff like that where I think you can be the best possible partner and you can make yourself look like someone who knows what they're talking about and is a valued team that they can go to when you can talk about things that no one has been thinking about and no one's been talking about before. And it's not because you're just trying to cram something in there
or with a realistic solution,
exactly.
Right?
It's
something
where,
that's right.
Yeah, imagine just being able to like you just said, walk into a store and say, "Hey, I notice I've been in here 3 times now, and you have 3 cash registers you're typically never using. What else could we be doing with those?" I guarantee you, like you said, I didn't think of that myself, but as soon as you mentioned it, I'm like, you're right. There is computing power sitting there that is not getting used for anything and could be used for something, and you don't have to add in a bunch of extra stuff and spend a bunch more.
Screensaver. Yeah.
There's something more that can be done, and I think that's very valuable, and I think that's very valuable for our channel ecosystem to be able to bring all these partners together, and whether it's the ISVs, us on the distribution side, our vendors, our VAR partners, everyone getting together and saying, hey, how can we tackle problems that our customers don't even realize are problems yet, that they're not talking about and they're not thinking about, but that we know are probably happening? Because I think there's something to that when you can go and it doesn't mean that you go in and immediately knock someone's socks off and win the business and they're like, yeah, here's a PO. Sure, I want to buy thousands of whatever you've got to sell here. It's getting them to start thinking about these things and realizing where opportunities might lie within their own business. And then when it comes time for them to make those decisions, they go, you know what? We should be doing something with that, and we're not. I remember Kristen coming to me and talking to me about that. I'm going to give her a call. She's the first person I'm going to think of and give a call to.
Yeah, right.
It's again, it all goes back to you have your transactional business as a VAR, and that's fine. But have that speculative business running at all times too, where you're always asking questions and you're always pointing things out and
pushing
you're always
the
saying,
envelope
hey,
a little bit. Yeah.
Have you thought about X? And if they say no, not really, I'm like, well, it's something I've been looking at. I think there's some cool things going on. Take a look at this site, what I was looking at, or take a look at this article. We'll talk about it next time I'm by or something like that. It doesn't mean you're pushing stuff. It's just opening those doors so that eventually down the road, you are again that person that they lean on and say, hey, I appreciated talking to IT partner X because they were asking questions about something that I wasn't thinking about at the time. And now I know I need to be working on it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I remember. I do need that machine vision type thing.
And I remember we talked about it.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, hey, this was a great conversation. We're going to wrap it up here in a moment with our value to the VAR segment, a little bit of a takeaway for our VAR audience. But before we do that, as always, we want to thank our sponsors of the TEConnect podcast.
Of which Intel is one. Yes.
Intel is one. They sponsor our program. We very much appreciate Intel and what they have to offer us, and for lending us folks like Kristen to have these great conversations, and just what you guys are doing in general with helping build this ecosystem.
For sure.
There's some really, again, to your point at the beginning, if you only thought of Intel for chips, pay attention to some of this stuff. If you've been following us over our last couple of years of journey with Intel, you realize there's so much more going on.
So much more.
And that's exactly the kind of partners we like to have.
Absolutely.
Here. So, hey, as always, if you like the show, we need you to tell us.
Oh, yeah.
All the time I hear about people that they like stuff, but they don't ever bother to tell the creator that they like something.
Yeah, so give it a little maybe rate it.
We hear about that when we're out and about. You were just at the exec summit. Did anybody come up to you and mention the
absolutely.
podcast? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. We're at VARTech. But hey, you can take that a step further by leaving a little rating and review for us. Maybe you're on YouTube right now watching. Hit the like button. Drop us a little comment. Just tell us what you thought about the episode.
Then others can find us. It's an ecosystem, John.
Whatever.
We need an ecosystem to build the audience.
Bringing it all together there. Help us build our ecosystem with this podcast here.
Bingo.
So if you got ideas for the show, if there's other things you want us to be talking about, if you're thinking, hey, Intel's doing cool stuff with this, I want to hear more about that.
Yes. What a great idea.
We don't know unless you tell us. And if you do, we'll find someone at Intel to get on the show and talk to us about it.
And you get a free shirt.
That's right. Just send in your ideas, suggest a topic to us. We will give you a free TEConnect podcast t-shirt.
What could be better?
Just for doing that. It's
just nice, in time for summer. Shirt. It's a nice short sleeve.
I'm going to be sending one in now.
See,
there you go.
There you go. All right. We'll go to the show notes. There's a link in the show notes where you can submit those ideas. We'll get that t-shirt out to you. Follow us on LinkedIn. Make sure you're following BlueStar on LinkedIn so you can always keep up with what we're doing. And if you want to reach out to us directly, you can always find us on Twitter for however much longer Twitter lasts. Let's be honest at this point.
Or Blue Sky. Either one. Doesn't matter.
Blue Sky, exactly. At TEConnect Pod. I haven't started the Blue Sky one up yet, but maybe I'll do that soon.
Really.
Or you can email us TEConnect@bluestarinc.com. All right, let's wrap things up here. As always, we'll start with our value to the VAR, our way of kind of giving a takeaway to our VAR friends here.
Yes.
So, we've spoken with many of Intel's software partners.
Yep.
Dean, you mentioned Pathr earlier.
Yep.
We've had VSBLTY on. We've had WaitTime.
WaitTime.
A lot of these companies that play in retail and hospitality spaces. So, Kristen, why do you think it's so important for VARs to be developing relationships with companies like those in order to take their retail solutions up to that next level?
Well, I think I stated it earlier, without the software, it's just a super cool box. And
with blinky lights.
With blinky lights, that's right. And these new software partners that are coming out, the WaitTime, the Pathrs, these are complex solutions, right? But I think if the VARs really, truly understand what they're trying to accomplish, the conversation's easier. When you're in front of that customer to have the conversation, that the software works, that you validated it. It's a much easier conversation. We should have been doing this years and years ago, but I don't know. I think computer vision's brought us all together and shown how much we really need each other.
All right.
But those are the types of use cases that really need to have that ecosystem in order to work seamlessly. Not just, hey, I'm just going to go buy a box and see if it works, because it's not how it works in this new technology stack. It has to be an ecosystem.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I agree wholeheartedly. When you think about the tech stack, and we'll go back to that, that's the only way that solution integrators are going to survive is to have that ecosystem of vetted partners with realistic solutions that can be implemented at scale.
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I go back to, we just had our episode last week about the warehouse survey and all the stuff we heard about warehousing, and a lot of those respondents were retail warehousing and retail distribution, and almost all of them said that when they outsource their IT, they like, part of one of the things they like to outsource to their IT is software procurement, software support, all that kind of stuff. So they're looking for that. They're looking for you to be a partner on the software side. And again, not necessarily expecting you to be the software expert, but to at least help them find the software that they need. And I guarantee you that's happening at front of the house retail. It's happening in all industries.
Yeah.
So that should be part of your goal, and part of your desire is to build those relationships so that when someone comes to you looking for that and looking to you as the software partner, you can help introduce them to the right people. Or again, know that you have them in your pocket to build that solution where you still get to be the solution provider, but you know that you've got a Pathr or a VSBLTY or whoever on your side that can come in and help with that angle of it and fit that into whatever you're selling as part of your overall solution. Yeah. And finally, in my mind, I said this earlier, when you have those kind of relationships and you're building that kind of stuff, all that doing is building out your own brand. It's adding credibility to your brand. It's making you stand heads and shoulders above the company that comes in and just says, here's your blinky light box. See you later.
See you later.
Call these guys if you want to get some software. I think they can do that for you. I'll see you. If that's your attitude about it, you probably aren't going to get that next phone call.
That's right.
So
that's right.
If you want to get that next call, that's where you need to have those partnerships.
For sure. Good stuff.
All right. Well, hey, let's wrap up as always with our favorite segment, What's TEConnecting with You?
Yes.
This is where we get to talk about something in the world of science, tech, business, innovation, or just a wacky news story we feel like talking about. So, Kristen, we'll let you start here. What's TEConnecting with you right now?
Oh my gosh. I mean, who hasn't done ChatGPT? I mean,
yes.
I've had so much fun with that. And I know there's a lot of controversy as well on top of it, but
just the end of the world kind of controversy. But other than that,
And I'll tell you what. So me and my husband, our birthday is around the same time, and he got a ChatGPT birthday message, and I got a ChatGPT birthday message. It was like I was opened up my card, and then I had some friends around me, and one of my friends, he's like, I think I'm going to cry. That was like the most amazing thing. I'm like, this came from ChatGPT. It's not from my husband. So
classic.
I don't know if that's mind-blowing, but I thought it was hilarious.
Yes. We've had many conversations around ChatGPT.
I thought it was funny. Cordy sent us the other day like a list of or was it you?
It was me.
You. You sent this list to me and Cordy of here's three other AI GPT type things or whatever to look into. And I'm like, is there an end to this rabbit hole? Every day I see
no end to this rabbit hole. None.
I just noticed Grammarly the other day added AI support. So they can write some stuff for you. I'm like,
I got that too.
Knock it off, Grammarly. This is my job we're talking about here.
Well, you take it a little personally.
It's fine for you to fix my punctuation from time to time, but stop trying to do my job.
So
no, it's all over the place. You can't avoid
So,
it.
Kristen, you didn't feel creepy at all about this message that came from this unit, whatever.
Well, we're geeks at home.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
gotcha.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we thought it was super cool. No, I didn't. I wasn't creeped out by it at all. And I'm like, honestly, there's so much work to be done. If ChatGPT can do some of my work, go for it. Because
Yeah. I think that's where most of us are going to land on that. Yeah, for
definitely.
sure.
All right, Dean, what's TEConnecting with you?
All right, I got two of them for you, and I'm going out to the sea today.
Okay.
The seaweed blob has arrived. Have you heard about this thing?
I have.
Kristen, I know you're way out on the west
Gulf,
somewhere.
Right?
It's on the Atlantic side.
Okay.
The greater Atlantic Sargassum Belt is making landfall through southern Atlantic and the Caribbean coast, disrupting vacations and marine activities. This does not sound very appealing at all. It's a 15 million ton, 5,000 mile wide patch of seaweed. That's a lot of seaweed, dude.
Yeah.
Do you like seaweed? Do you like
I was
eating
going to say, are
seaweed?
they going to get it so we can eat it?
Right.
I mean, I like some good sushi from time
Do you
to
like
time.
sushi?
wrapped in
Okay.
seaweed.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
there's one hell of a sushi patch.
I think I
right
prefer
now.
it to be like refined and processed maybe first before it gets to my mouth. But
Well, you ask so much.
I
You
know.
just can't go out there with a fork and start eating this stuff.
no, I don't think that's too appealing to me. I got a vacation coming up to Gulf Shores in about a month and a half or so. I'm hoping that's isn't impacting the beaches there when I'm there.
The Gulf Coast, I think you're okay.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you have to worry about the red tide there.
Okay,
But that's
all
a
right. Well,
a different
it's its own
that's
thing.
a different thing. But anyway, this nutrient stuff, rich stuff is this huge blob that's out there. I found that to be fascinating and quite huge. Here's my second question to you. You're a mammal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe so,
Kristen,
yeah.
you're a mammal. Could you live on just 2 hours of sleep? No. Just 2 hours.
No.
Kristen, do you need more than just 2 hours of
You
sleep?
don't want to see me on 2 hours of sleep.
No coffee is going to get you out of that mode.
No.
Well, the only time I've ever done 2 hours of sleep is when I went and ran the hood to coast.
Oh,
Right.
jeez.
That's-
Okay.
So I have done it, but I wouldn't recommend it.
But at least you're doing something active to keep you engaged and awake at that point.
And apparently not, because I do not survive very well on 2 hours of sleep either. But apparently we are not northern elephant seals, who are by average, they average 2 hours of sleep per day. So these are the big seals. You ever seen them with the big noses and stuff like that? Researchers have found through tagging them and watching them and all that kind of good stuff, they win the award for being able to have the least amount of sleep among all mammals. They thought it used to be African elephants, but no, it's the northern elephant seal that we've quantified 2 hours of sleep per day while, even while they're on their trips,
Can you imagine how much you could get done with only sleeping 2 hours a day?
Oh, 22 hours of productivity?
Yeah.
Oh, see, no, don't go down there.
Wait,
Don't go down that
It
path.
doesn't all have to be productive.
From the man who's advocating a 4-day work week, you're going down.
It could be just more time watching television or something.
Oh, I see. Okay, more. Okay, it doesn't have to be working.
If I'm
Doesn't
sleeping,
have to be
that's the problem.
productive.
If we start sleeping less, then everyone's gonna be like, all right, well then you guys can start working 50 hours a week now, right? That's exactly what's going to happen.
No, yeah, we want to binge watch more.
Yeah, I want that to be more hours of free time.
Okay,
if I can
fair
do that,
enough.
so.
Fair enough. Well, there you go. So, John, what is TEConnecting with you?
All right. So what's TEConnecting with me is, we have a lot of preconceptions about dinosaurs that have been dispelled and broken over the years.
Okay, fair enough.
We've established they may not have always been cold-blooded.
Yes.
They didn't necessarily just lay eggs and wander off like modern reptiles do. They might have actually, nurtured
Had
and
family,
had
yeah, right?
families.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them may have actually had feathers rather than scales.
Right, yes.
All this stuff, that Jurassic Park still gives you the giant monster lizard things. Well, here's one more example of where we may have been wrong about something the way we've been depicting dinosaurs.
All right.
And specifically the big predatory dinosaurs like the T-Rex, Allosaurus, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Usually when you see them depicted
You mean I can have a T-Rex as a pet?
No, we're not getting to that yet.
Got it.
It's not happening. You were the last person I want having a T-Rex as a pet. So let's say, like when you watch Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, any just dinosaur show or whatever, you always see like the T-Rex with just like a bunch of giant teeth sticking out of there. They always have that kind of like Rick smile, like, just ready to chomp down the big scary teeth. Well, scientists now think that they may not have actually had their teeth bared like that, but instead have had actual lips covering their teeth, just like most modern lizards do.
Yes.
So they actually may not have looked quite that scary. I'm not saying you would have wanted to tangle with a T-Rex.
Okay, but maybe
it
not.
Still would swallow you whole and rip you to shreds with those giant teeth. But it wasn't always stuck in a constant Joker smile.
I got it. Got it.
See,
all right.
So there's as always, I always link our articles in the show notes. Check this one out because you might want to see.
I want to see a T-Rex with some type of lip.
It looks oddly like not as terrifying.
Oh,
I'll show you when we're done here. Kind of, you look at it and you're just like, oh, that's just a cute little lizard. Never mind that it's probably
20 feet
2
tall.
stories tall.
Right.
Again, would swallow you whole in an instant. So.
But besides that, much more
a little
friendlier.
more adorable. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think if maybe they're like the bright colors and not the.
No, I don't know that I want this. I want to keep that fierce kind of T-Rex in my mind. Like I never want to be near one of those guys brandishing his teeth.
All right, well, I'm just saying, maybe they're getting a bad rap. Someday, maybe after we're long extinct, they're going to think that, I don't know, they're going to think something was weird looking about us too. And it'll be completely wrong with what humans actually look like.
Yeah. Especially if they don't have access to TikTok. I mean, how are they going to know what we look like? For crying out loud. Exactly.
All right, that is What's TEConnecting with us. Kristen Call, thank you so much for joining us today.
I did it because I wanted to come and laugh. This was the best hour of my life.
There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Do what you can. If you got another topic for us in the future, come back. We'll have you back on, give you some more reasons to laugh and get you through a day.
Bingo.
We do what we can. Well, until next time, folks, go out and sell some more Blinky light boxes.
Blinky light boxes, that's it.
Maybe get some partners to help you do it too.
That'd be good.
And recontextualize what you think about dinosaurs. They might have been cute and cuddly for all we know.
Well.
And as always, please.
And the green blob that's coming out.
And the green blob. Don't forget that green blob. Exactly. You can go with your new dinosaur full lip friend. Get yourself some green blobby
Swim amongst the seaweed. Yeah.
While you're selling Blinky light boxes. As always, folks, please stay connected. TEConnect podcast is brought to you by Zebra. All right, Dean, we spent a lot of time talking about retail and modernization today.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, 85% of retail associates say that they could provide a better customer experience if they had enterprise-grade mobile computers with built-in scanners to use on the job.
Mobile, yes. Even they want to be mobilized.
That's some modernization
85% of people want it.
That's right. That's just one of the findings in Zebra's new ebook, Future-Proofing Retailers, The Power of Purpose-Built Devices.
Nice.
This ebook explores the shift to digital technology for retailers that mirrors customer experience and expectations for purchasing, conducting research, and comparing prices. So to read the ebook and learn how to position your solutions for the modern retailer, check out the link in the show notes. TEConnect Podcast is also brought to you by ELO. Are you looking to meet the needs of both hospitality and retail customers and their employees, as well as their busy on-the-go consumers?
Yes.
I mean, if you've listened to this pod, I kind of hope that's part of your game plan.
Yes.
If you're trying to help your retailers and hospitality
partners
hope
so. Yes.
Do better. Why did you listen to this if not?
Why are you sticking your head in the sand and not doing some retail modernization?
Well, the new ELO M60 Pay is a mobile POS computer designed to support everyday business. It's a rugged, enterprise-grade, all-in-one device with 6-inch HD touch display, Android 10 OS, Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 octa-core processor. I don't understand half of those words, and it's just
right over my head.
But it's got to be cool.
Really cool stuff.
And all the requisite connectivity options. Now, we've talked about how I am not a big shopper, at least in store.
In store,
I do all my shopping online, pick up, all that kind of stuff. I'm not as active as you were talking about how your daughters are.
Yes, my daughters, yes.
And I don't go to restaurants that much really anymore either, time to time. Just, try not to eat out as much.
But the rest of us do.
Okay, fine. The rest of you do. And it's not just the convenience of ordering from home. Sometimes I don't like having to wait.
Oh yes, wait.
To go in places and wait in line. Like,
no, nobody likes.
I know what I want. I finished my dinner. I picked out my product. I just want to get out and go home.
Frictionless.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
So what really puts that M60 above other mobile computers for productivity is that it also offers integrated payment capabilities to speed customers along wherever they are.
Boom.
The M60 is equipped for dip, tap, and swipe. I still say that's some
dip, tap, and swipe.
Trend. Gonna dip, gonna tap, and swipe it. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Don't make me rap.
I'm so sorry. That's so not what you want as part of your brand. So that means it accepts EMV cards with chips, NFC contactless payments for cards or mobile devices, and traditional magstripe cards as well, if anyone's still using those for some reason. Perfect for tableside service, line busting, curbside pickup, anywhere your customers need to accept payments. Honestly, if I was shopping or eating somewhere and someone came along with those M60 to take my payment, I'd be pretty impressed. I would feel a little more like a
this is
loyal
modern.
customer. Yes.
This is cool.
Let's go back to that restaurant because I can pay at my table on the go and get right out. I don't have to wait 20 minutes to
no
pay.
janky little consumer grade with snot hanging off. But why? I don't know why.
Snot? Is this like toddler restaurant or
yes,
something?
toddler restaurant, not the M60, baby. Cool, sleek, and modern.
It's snot proof. I don't know why that wasn't in your
We'll make
features.
that claim.
To learn more about this amazing new device and how snot proof it can be, check out the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar ELO team.